Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think we should.
Okay, Ray Unger will not be able to be with us today. He has a business staff meeting that he had to attend. The agenda for today is my remarks, Yacht Club presentation, Bob Thompson, board discussion, public comment, media questions, and adjournment. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
Your voice sounds terrific.
You love my voice, I know, Jeff. I'm going to break out in song here in a moment. My remarks are basically, I'm here to see what Bob has to present, and I'm assuming this is kind of a precursor to what's going to happen on Saturday. Give us a chance to be informed and see what changes, minor or major, that may have been made since our last meeting. But looking forward to hearing more, so I will turn it over to Bob.
All right. Since our last meeting, not the one yesterday, but the last one we talked about with the Yacht Club, I took a lot of feedback from you all on changes and updates on the plans. What's here, and I've also tried to put them up on the board for folks in the back because I know it's a little hard to see, but went back to we've had several meetings, okay? And I didn't do a real formal PowerPoint presentation. I'm just going to show you the plans, some of the changes, talk about what we've done to catch up, and then give you some literature to take with you. Met with the architect following our last meeting about it, talked about some of the design changes, implemented some of the things you all had recommended, some other bits and pieces. And I'm going to start, and they're going to be up here for everybody to look at in greater detail. But I put them up on the board so the folks in the back can watch. The front elevation, if you recall, we did not have a front elevation last time I shared this with everybody. So this is the front elevation of the club. You'll notice the front has an actual portico that you pull under so folks can drop off and pick up without getting wet. You'll notice the front element also has the matching roof line for the rest. The front entrance, the last one that the one just prior to this we showed with Harkins, had the entrances were on the side of this entry area. Moving to the front gives us the stairwell we like in a couple of the other designs to get up to the second floor, and I'll show you those on a little bigger print. The bottom part, or the bottom picture here, I don't know if everyone can see that, that is the side elevation from the marina side of the building. We did not have that picture either when we showed the last set of prints. The two doors you're seeing right here, one of them is for the trash receptacle area. The one to the right is actually the receiving area. Side of the building, the initial one that they did, and they went back and changed it, they had two competing elements here, and they've had to soften that. If you recall, when we were looking at a couple of the different plans inside with the elevator, how it impacted on the outside of the building with the roof, that's where this particular element is. It's housing the actual channel for the elevator. Stairwell change, this was something that was discussed about, hey, do we really need stairs to be the same as they're on this side, big print? And you're correct, they didn't. So what we did was redesign those, and it just serves as an access point now. Questions about those? Obviously, I'll go into greater. You all have seen this on Saturday's meeting. These are the plans that we'll present. The architects putting the color drawing, putting all the color to it. They just didn't have them finished yet. They'll have those for Saturday's meeting, and we'll have the big prints. We'll put them around the room, and I'll have the color drawings. I'll have up on the big screen as well. Yes, sir.
What is the square footage of this versus the square footage of the present facility? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Yeah, we're at approximately 18 on the current one, and this one is just under 20, or a couple thousand square feet. And I can get the exact number.
And is it this design that we talked about, I guess the upstairs part, flexible space?
That's a good question. Well, I'm going to show you the interior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and when I have a floor plan to show you, but yes, it does allow for the flex space.
In the side view, Bob?
Yes, sir.
The structure at the rear is the office for the marina and what else?
The bottom half is the marina. The
Right.
top half is 2 offices
For those
upstairs
staff.
for the staff.
Right.
Bob, just for clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
This elevation, it faces, this lower elevation faces where the sand is now?
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions about the elevation? Okay, flip the back side. This is the back elevation. The difference on this plan and the one Saturday is the only difference we're going to see is right here. See where it's dark for the railing? The railing on the new plan doesn't run, when the architect had put them in, and they're real hard to see, but they're running horizontally, where they're going to be pickets that are going to run vertically. And they look nice on there, and you can see it when you walk up and look at this plan. Part of the challenge when you run them this way, they're a climbing hazard. In case you have very no climb, they use it as a stair thing, and that's the last thing we need to do. They're going to be rotating those, flipping those around.
You also switched the downstairs doors.
Yes, the doors, thank you. Good pickup. The doors on the bottom, if you recall, we talked about the sliding element doors that you could slide all the way over. Went and looked at those terribly expensive elements to do. What we've elected to do in lieu of, these are actually 16-foot openings here, or 16-foot sections. And what happens is these are 4-foot doors, and the 2 in the middle are sliding patio doors, and they're all glass, nice wood around them. And when they slide, you'll still be able to see through, but the center section here will be open for each of these. So you still have the open air, but you're able to close them up. It seals the building. They're easier to work. I actually moved some of the other doors. And don't get me wrong, they were beautiful. But the fact of the matter is it's terribly expensive to use that big folding door. And my bigger concern was over 5 or 10 or 15 years down the road with the weight of that door and knowing the staffs, it's typically going to be the staff opening and closing it. What's the wear and tear going to be? I'm told it's 20-year, but we're trying to look at a 40 or 50-year building here, and the sliders are just more predictable, less stress, and easier to operate.
And so it's Sunset Road in West Ocean City. Exactly like that.
Well, it's very similar with slider doors, yes, sir. These doors are wooden, though. These are actually have outside has these are an Anderson product. Eagle is the company. And they were bought by Anderson. They're the aluminum side of the Anderson company. So the outside of the doors actually have a very nice aluminum finish. Inside have a nice wooden finish.
Well,
Yes.
just, you may be commenting later, but
Yeah.
the doors, you said that these doors would be less expensive
Yes.
than the other things. Just with respect to that, more. Where does the Hawkins bid price stand with respect to the ups and downs that you'll be experiencing? Are we going to see yet another bid price after the design is completed?
We will, but our changes, so with all the changes we've made, our pricing is still at $4,284,820. It's where we save some money. We've made some changes. I'm sorry, Dave. You want me to stay on this side today? Some of the changes we've made, where we saved a little bit of money on the doors, we're able to make up in some of the other areas. Example, we're looking at, and we'll have a final price in the next 2 days. We're trying to get it by today's meeting. I was talking to him up until 5 minutes when I came over here, taking more notes. We're trying to include that the area where the existing building is, where we said we were going to put sand initially. Well, it looks like with some of the changes, some of the savings we've had, we've been able to include the pavers as an example. So we have a finish there within the same price that we originally quoted. Where some of that comes in is with the cost savings with the doors as an example. Yes, sir.
I mean, more generally, as I've understood the process, you're going to have a number of different changes. Some will increase the price, some will decrease the price. All that we put together in a revised number, and
Correct.
it'll continue to be until we decide what price will go in the referendum, right? So we've got ups and downs that all have to be brought together.
We're going to know in the next 2 days.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well, the ups and
If there
downs.
are other
of
changes
land-
after that, then similarly, that will also change it.
We also, I'm sorry, Dave.
3 of you don't.
Hold
on, guys.
Yeah.
This is a meeting, one at a
Yeah, well-
No,
time.
it's all right.
We
Mr.
can't face
Stevens.
each other, so it's a
Right.
little difficult.
It's hard.
You
Okay,
have-
my, just to clarify, I heard what Pete said. Your first answer led me to believe that we were working within the Hawkins bid price. That's set, and that within that, we will reduce or increase. What Pete, I think, said is that as we reduce and increase things, the Hawkins bid price will go up and down.
It potentially could have, but we're within the bid price.
You're trying to
And that's
stay
our
within
goal,
the
to
bid
stay
price.
at or below that bid price.
At or below the bid
Yes,
bid
sir.
price, and the final number should come in a couple of days. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to have it for this meeting. They're just getting, I couldn't have it. There's what I would tell you on the 4,284,820. Okay, is the number where we're sitting right now. We put a $10,000 swing up or down, and part of that we have with the new design, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes on the site plan, and I'll have it up on the board. But with some of the layout to meet some of the current codes. I met with the county as well as AWB has. We had to change our parking spaces a little bit. There's a change, and that's where the plus or minus 10 grand would be. Okay, so but
Andrew
we're
had a couple of.
Yeah, well, just one, and I think we need to stress this. Saturday morning, when we sit down with anybody who's interested comes in and looks at these things, that meeting will be very carefully taped and recorded and analyzed so that this design, Dave, from my perspective, could change based upon some public comments, and it might change the price. So I would go to the bank on whatever we have when we have a fixed design that they've made a final evaluation of. I agree with the target of 4.284,820. That's great. But, we've got people in Ocean Pines who are going to make comments about this as well. And they may have, you don't know where good ideas or good changes are going to come from. So let's not.
Right. I absolutely agree. We have a meeting Saturday which has the opportunity for the community to see this and make suggestions and see things, and that's why we're meeting again next Wednesday, to get the readout from what adjustments you've decided to make from the community meeting, and then we'll know what we're going to do. Yes.
I think we're all saying the same
We are.
thing. We don't have a hard and fast number. It's always been understood there are going to be pluses and minuses, and we'll get a different revised number, right?
Right. And
Taking into account this and that, Saturday and whatever.
And we're trying to work
Yeah.
within, to answer Mr. Stevens' point, we are working within the number that was approved.
Well, if it goes up by $20,000 over that number, I mean,
And I'll present that. I mean, I'll obviously have that information.
Yeah, I wasn't implying that I had a preference for it.
No, understood.
we're all saying the same thing.
We're all saying the same thing.
So we're finalizing those as we speak. And to Dan's point, there may be changes. Keep in mind, we've made, following the other public hearings with the initial concept, we made multiple changes. One of the biggest one was closing in the downstairs, which wasn't the first conceptual drawing. So we've made multiple changes. More may come next week.
While we're looking at the outside, if you could, the roof materials obviously are different in these two renderings.
Yes.
Tell us what they are again.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, the white area area that you see on the very top here,
Yeah,
metal roof.
okay.
This area, and again, when you get up close, you can see a little better on these, okay? This is a shingle roof, 50-year shingle.
Those could be sculptured shingles or something like that. Or,
Architectural shingles, and they're putting the final.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions about these? Okay, floor plans. Now, for Saturday, we'll have these separated and bigger, okay? And I don't know, can you all see those well enough to talk intelligently about them? I don't know how else, I mean, we can get up and stand around them, what works, or I can bring these closer to you, I mean, whatever.
Actually, is that the same thing as that, Bob?
Yes.
You're saying- Yeah,
This
those
is-
are, that's not bad. But glad,
All right, well, if for some reason you end up where you can't, just
stand up and,
holler. All right, couple things. The kitchen area, we met with Savoy Brown. Some of you may remember that name. They were the kitchen consultant and your task force plan.
then you're fantastic.
Yeah, was working with.
Brought them in.
We brought them in. That was part of the deal, and they actually came, spent about, and Savoy Brown, if you go online and look at them, pretty big company. I actually have literature about them in my office. Ted Savoy was the gentleman that actually came down. Really nice, yeah, one of the two owners. Yeah, real nice guy. Met with him. We did a walkthrough of our Crank Yacht Club. One of the things that, not only do they specialize in layout, okay, and this was one of their layouts, by the way, but they're coming, the other thing that they do is they evaluate your existing kitchens, and they'll give you recommendations whether you can, what the life expectancy of the individual pieces of equipment are. So he actually spent hours, had his measuring tape, he measured everything from the aluminum shelves or the stainless steel shelves that were on the wall that were 6 inches deep, that were 6 foot long, to every piece of equipment, the type of equipment, the age of the equipment. He's pulling serial numbers, and what he's going to do is come back to us and say, okay, here's what our evaluation shows us. Here's the equipment we think that you can reuse. Here's the equipment you can reuse for a long period. Here's the equipment that's going to, when you go to move it, you're going to have issues with it. Here's stuff you shouldn't even bother moving and scrap it. They're actually going to give us that breakdown and make some recommendations from there. Yes, sir.
Did he make any recommendations, will he, as to whether we should have one master kitchen or kitchen for each floor?
Respectfully, we're way by that.
Way by that, okay.
No, he did not, and he wasn't asked to.
Okay.
He understood. Now, what I will tell you, though, which was interesting, probably more to your point, he spoke with the folks at the Yacht Club, David, the chef, find out how we're using it, what our potential uses are in the future, and how we, what we intend to do with the facility long term, because that would go into their recommendations for the equipment. But we didn't discuss a redesign or anything. A couple other things things I want to point out when you look at, when you come through the doors, okay, the stairs. If you recall, their initial design, you came in from a side and twisted. We all like the design where you come up 2 sides to come up to the second floor. They changed that in the design. The elevator is here. It opens up. This actually looks down to the first floor. So I thought that was a nice design feature. The kitchen area, receiving area, roomed off trash area. This area is a combination. The big thing that
I'm going to admit it, I can't read it.
That's fine. One of these, this area is actually a break room, storage room. We're going to have lockers in there for the employees. When they come in, there's a small, enough room for a very small 4-top table for them to have lunch, dinner, whatever, take their breaks, with some lockers along this wall to change out their clothes, which we didn't have before.
Yeah, that's all new. Yeah.
Yeah, they just come in, they lay stuff everywhere, so, that was,
Mr. Cherry's suggestion.
That's what I was looking for.
so that's in there.
Validated.
Well, I'm not gonna point out who gave every suggestion.
I'm just
okay?
making sure it's there, that's all.
But I did, every one of you that gave them, we tried to, if it made sense, incorporate. All right, so that took care of this area. This is something that's very different, and it was on the plan, but it's a little more defined. This is the storage area, and it serves two purposes. There's going to be a spot in here for the mechanicals, okay, for the building itself, but the majority of the space, you know, doors outside, doors in. This half will be used for the pool area to store the bench, all the pool furniture and everything like that. This side will be used for interior storage of chairs, tables, those type of things that we have. It's a very big area. It won't be a finished area. It'll be like a storeroom. But it gives us a lot of storage area on that first floor. The other big part to point out is the redesign of the bathrooms. And the female bathroom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Toilets in there, and 3 and 3 for the men for the urinals and the toilets. So we've added, if you recall the first design, had fewer toilets and urinals in each.
And again, the others met code or whatever the requirements are. This goes above and beyond that to be more practical, to give us more. And that was the suggestion, I think.
Yes.
Not just be minimum by code or whatever.
Other design features, again, we already talked about the doors with sliding doors. We added, instead of having tables filling every square inch of it, we added a corridor here. The purpose of the corridor is flow out of the kitchen so they're not walking through people trying to dine and going outside to serve the outside area from that side.
Is that,
Half wall.
yeah, that's what I was, okay, thank you.
Yep, good question. Yeah, it's a half wall so they can see what's going on, but they're not actually walking right through people trying to dine.
We got to talk to the garden club about that.
So you have, that looks like two entrances to the outside. One right from the bathrooms and the other from the dining
Yeah.
room.
Here,
You need them both.
double doors here.
Yeah. Okay, so basically those bathrooms are gonna serve the pool too.
Yes. Okay.
Is anything being sacrificed by having that big of a storage area?
No.
Bob, how does that storage area then compare in size to what we have now?
We don't have much of anything right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're back yeah. It's hard to compare, honestly, because if you walk it, we have virtually zero storage. The back,
We've all walked it.
yeah, the back receiving room is a little bit larger here, and that's probably we have our yacht club. You come through the back, and then there's storage along this back wall. But if you walk back there, you can see where a lot of the damage, the floors failing. I mean, that's where you can see a lot of the structural.
So there's like a 60-year-old building.
So the restrooms are gonna be used by the people at the pool as well, correct?
Yes.
And, can you just do it again, like how, if you're at the pool, like how do you get into the restroom? And that hallway is,
Separated from the dining.
and that's what you were saying, it's a half wall?
No, there's a half
That's a
wall
full
here.
wall.
Yeah, that one right there is half full.
It's a knee
It
wall.
separates the tables from
From
that
the- from the-
hallway.
Yeah, but it's a full
But that's a
solid
solid
wall
wall.
that separates the lavatories from the dining area.
So people from the dining area are gonna go into those restrooms as well?
Yes. Keep in mind, the pool has bathrooms outside also.
Okay,
Those are
How many
on the
does it
other
have?
side.
They're out here where the
I'm
pool is.
imagining 3 or 4
Yes, sir.
people
How many
going
bathrooms?
in and using the restroom, and then somebody with sandals on from having dinner going into the restroom.
I know what you're saying, Terry, but I can only hear the mumbles. I think I got the
She's I've doubled the bathroom size for her, and she's still not happy with me on it. So I got to figure out what I can do.
I think what she's not
You know
happy
what?
about,
You're
Bob.
better off if you just don't even try to please me today.
So-
Fair enough.
Yeah, the last,
Yeah.
maybe 3 times I've been to the yacht club, at least during the good
I
day.
just don't think.
You know, how do I want to put it? The bathrooms, the men's rooms, there was clear evidence that it's being used by the floor and the restaurant at the same time. Tissue paper over the floor and stuff like that. Maybe it's a maintenance issue, but also, had any consideration to considering the expansion of the outside bathrooms so that these could be used just for the restaurants?
Well, we did, if you recall, we did talk 2 years ago, and we waited this year to do anything with the resurfacing of the pool at the yacht club and the raising of the pump house there.
Yes.
We were going to do some work there, and if we were going to do anything, that would be the time to consider expanding the outdoor bathrooms.
Yeah, my memory tells me that was part of the concept, and that we did want to do that sharing again if we could help with something. Okay.
So it's there when we do the pump house, because it's all, as you know, part of that same structure. That would be the time when we could expand the restrooms there, separate from this.
Bob, I think that's an important point. The point that Terry raises is a very valid one. In the long term, I would hope that we have not use of that bathroom by the swim. Right now, I think you should make it clear to whoever's going to be there on Saturday or beyond that there is that separate set of bathrooms.
Well, what I just said to Dan just said the same thing, but I will tell you, if I was at that pool and I needed to use the restroom and I just jumped out of the water and I knew that there were new restrooms this way and old yucky restrooms that way, I'd go to the new. What you're probably going to have to do is do some sort of signage that says, if you're wet, please use the restrooms that are poolside. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
Because otherwise, you're going to have people that are enjoying dinner going into a wet restroom.
You definitely
That's
might,
not a good long-term situation.
you might suggest to your manager in the meantime that they pay more attention to more periodic cleanups. I know it's difficult,
But if we can ultimately, we can initially discourage swimmers from using that, then
I mean, I
longer
know places
term,
that do that all the time.
longer term, minimize it or eliminate it.
Yeah.
That'd be a good thing.
No, that's right. And again, I'm not trying to please anybody, but I want to point something out. Here's the existing footprint of the building,
Right,
okay? The restrooms are right here,
right.
okay? The new restrooms are over here, okay? And the existing are here. So if when we do any change here, we could,
Yeah. True, absolutely. But as a girl, I'm going to tell you, it might not matter to you boys, but as a girl, I would walk that extra amount to use a new, clean restroom. I mean, I'm just letting you know.
I got,
And if
guys,
I
you
was
tell me.
allowed, if I was
I
allowed
hear
to go
you.
in there, drop, sopping wet, I would. But there is a way to do it. I've seen it done before where people have multiple things going on. So, hopefully people, would just pay attention. I mean, you would think that if they were wet, they wouldn't go inside that building anyway. But
No, they will. They will.
Okay, Tom.
You're right, they will.
I think a number of us are saying the same thing. However, in terms of the physical facility, it's not dictating the change.
No,
but-
absolutely not.
so
No,
we're-
no,
yeah,
no,
we're
no,
talking
no,
about
no,
use and
no.
operations, and
Right,
three of us are
Right.
saying the same thing here.
right.
Okay.
We just have to make sure that the utilization is correct.
Run electric in the floor. If you're wet, you get shot.
There you go.
I got it.
You got it?
Won't happen
That's all?
again.
Okay.
Next, that's all.
I'll just wear rubber shoes.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Not to beat the bathrooms, no, not beat them. But we
If I'm
need it,
wet.
when we have this time of the year, when we have outside entertainment, like Friday night, Saturday night, the bathroom's going to be used.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, we're trying to
They're
just
paid
make it
for
as
the
we
bar.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what it's for, and
Yeah,
that's
that's what it's
fine,
for.
that's
I
fine.
understand that's what I'm pointing out.
Yeah, the pool's closed, yeah.
Yeah.
Pool's closed.
Access
It's
from
really
the
not-
outside is what you're pointing out,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
It's
okay,
really
right.
not that
It's not
big
just
of a
swimmers, it's
deal, just making
outside
an
access.
observation.
Correct.
Okay,
That's valid.
discussed, closed, signs will
Check
be
mark.
put up, we'll
Check
handle
mark.
it, check it off. Move
No
on.
swimmers allowed.
Thank you. Not that I disagree, but we could all keep saying the same thing.
Okay. All right, so that's the first floor. The area here, keep in mind, and we pointed out on the plan when we were looking at the last slide, This is where the harbor master is now. Just a reference point. We had the long, in the other plan, we had the long stairwell here. You notice it's much smaller, much more compact right here. And that came from one of you all pointing that out, that they were really needed on that side. So we were able to make that change. All right, everybody okay with the first floor right now?
Yep.
Comment.
Sure.
Just overall on the floors, and I see on the second floor you've already taken this into consideration. Some of the energy behind this design has been around capacity. And what we've done with our plans, what the architect has done, is designed to the specs max capacity and illustrated that by putting tables into all of that space. The reality of use of this place is that we're going to have floor space that's going to get used in other ways. And we really have to make a point on Saturday of making sure that people understand that the odds on this building being used to the maximum 350 or 75 capacity are probably still too high.
But that you want to show capacity.
But the reason
you
for
wanna-
it
you wanna let-
downstairs,
Well,
for
you want
example.
people to be able to visualize capacity because I'm not so sure.
Well,
we're gonna
now-
put people
Well,
in
we
there.
changed upstairs.
The upstairs has been
The upstairs
changed.
has been changed.
All right, what we did, and I'm glad you noticed that, we left the bottom at capacity, okay? We felt that worked for us. We're able to take out any portion of tables to put a band, to put wherever we want inside, if we so choose. Upstairs, and the same dining area, and I'll go over more of the upstairs in a minute, but you'll notice the center section, we had no tables. We took those out. The first plan that we saw had tables all the way. Every square inch was filled with tables, and we took space out of here. I know it's hard to see from here, but when you walk up and look at the plans, you'll be able to see where these are. Room for a band, room for a dance area. This is all wooden floor. So the arrangement for us to be able to move tables and chairs to pretty much configure it any way we want. And the fact that this is built, there are no beams to force us into subdividing a particular way, allows us a lot of different access, a lot of different ways of using the room. The other thing I want to point out is the double doors here actually this is a storage room. One of the issues we have now is banquet tables, the 10 top tables versus 4 top tables. How do we use them? Where do we put them? Rolling them outside? Do we leave them up? This is an actual storage area right off of the main dining room, which allows you quick access and quick storage of the other pieces of furniture. The other thing I want to point out, these 2 black items here are actually folding doors, folding sectionals to break the building apart. Now, what we have not included, okay, in the price is we did not include pricing for the actual sectionals themselves. Not sure how they come, when you start looking at pricing for the levels of those, the acoustical, whether you do sound, all kinds of things come into play on how you're going to utilize them. What we did take into effect is where a 14-foot point, because the max doors we look at a lot of different sites, 14 is about the max door you can get that doesn't take a whole lot of extra wiring, a whole lot of extra equipment. We were able to figure out where the 14-foot, they're going to put a little bit of a drop where they'll have the run-in, so we don't have to come back and do any construction. We just install the door later if and when we choose to do it. The room's positioned to be able to subdivide it if we decide we want to do that. And I don't know how you want to do it. Your hand was up?
Well, what that allows you to do is to have a private function on one side
Correct.
on a particular evening, and on the other have regular food and beverage service, right?
Yes, which was
Yeah,
one of the
that's
requirements
why
that were, yes,
Multiple uses of the same space,
yes.
but subdivided into separate distinct areas.
Right. Mr. Stevens says?
I had one question, simple, and now I have 2, after, based on Pete's comment. Could you show me slowly where, if and when we buy these doors, assuming we will sometime in the future, where they would be placed? Like, that was, you kind of were showing.
Yeah, the
all
black
that.
dot, yeah, I'm
So
sorry.
it'd be going across there from black.
They'd run right here.
Oh, down there, okay. And then down there on the other side, potentially.
Correct, so you have three,
So either side could be,
you have 3 rooms. What that allows you to do, you can have 1 room here and a big room there,
Yeah.
1 room here, big room here, or 3 separate rooms for use.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, we may end up later,
2 big ones, a small one.
yeah, you can divide multiple ways. Here,
Okay. And these are how high these, I mean, you got a vaulted ceiling or something.
well, the center of this is 14 foot in the center of the room.
Oh, it's
Or,
14.
I'm sorry, 20 foot to the center here. The door, the hanging part for these has to be at a 14-foot level to take the doors.
so
A
it's
trap.
coming down.
So you build a drop.
You build a drop.
Correct, correct. They're just going to put a beam in now to support it, okay? I did not get the architect, I don't have the cut view. We'll have that by the weekend. But they were trying to measure where the 14-foot, because these are sloped, where that 14-foot, and they were looking at running a 1 foot, 12 to 18-foot drop down, just like a beam going down. It'll be an architectural feature, is what it's going to look like when it's initially built. But it allows us later to attach to it. It'll have the ability to be attached to at minimal cost because it's built in when the building's being constructed.
Yeah, so this is a railing that goes across the top. It's open over the railing, so
Correct.
the door goes in, they're still open, but the door's kind of blocking the noise.
Well, without the doors, you've got the effect of a lodge,
That-
right? You've got the lodge with the beams and.
Correct. You're both
That's the-
correct.
That's the
You're both
effect, right?
correct. Yes.
Yeah, okay, now let me, just a comment on Pete's comment.
Sure.
Then you could break it up so you could have casual dining. I kind of remember the casual dining from way back when the whole ground floor was open and it was going to be windy and blowing. You could go upstairs, but, I mean, you're anticipating that there would be casual dining upstairs too?
Well, the anticipation.
I mean, it's pretty big downstairs.
It is. Well, and that's what the neat part about having the structure like this with the open space, along with now that we close this in, we can make a determination in the off-season, the winter months, to completely close down
One floor.
a floor, seal it off pretty much, clean it up, seal it off, and use one floor, and then be able to divide it as necessary. And that was part of the design of the building, was being able to use it, multiple use. And that came out of a lot of what was, 10-year task force file, all that. I mean, a lot of this was driven by the feedback that we got from all the past history.
Well, one would expect, at least in my view, that once you improve the food and beverage and the service and make this a very attractive, we're going to attract more people.
I think so.
I can think so. I mean, my God. Isn't that
But
the
you know,
objective?
you are going to have to reiterate on Saturday that space that now doesn't have anything in it, that it can be converted to tables. I mean, because I know you undid it so it looks like so people can see that there's space there.
Yes, well.
But you're going to have people sitting there saying, well, if we're not using that space, isn't that wasted? You see what I'm saying?
It's just-
So they just have to know that it's not a permanent thing that cannot be adjusted to tables.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just,
Bob,
which part was in,
All right, hey,
okay,
All right, here's how we're going to do this. You're going to call on people because I can't see their
Right.
hands.
Yeah,
going up.
okay.
all right. And I think you were next. Now come right back to
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood what Terry was saying, that's all. I mean, which,
Oh, yeah, here's what, see the center space?
yeah,
It's empty.
yeah,
The drawings that we had a week and a half ago or so when we approved it
Showed it full.
had all the tables straight across.
Yeah.
Well, in the design, a lot of the questions I was receiving was, well, where's the room for the dance floor? Where's room for the band? What happens if we're... So what we did was we took out, everything here is a wooden floor. We can configure it any way we want to. We probably, to Dan's point, very few times are we going to have this full to capacity. It'll be more laid out like this with tables shifting left or right based on how we're using it, who's using it, that type of thing. So that's why there's a space here. He had a row of tables here. He took it out. You could have a band here. You could move the band here. There's so many ways to reconfigure it because it's all wooden floor for dancing, for band, that type of thing. So to Terry's point, I need to point out on Saturday, you could put tables here, you could put tables here, you could
okay,
match
yeah, it's a good point, it's a good point. And
Yeah.
I understood that, yeah.
So we've done it both ways. All right, and
Yeah.
Dan was next, and then I'll come back to you, Pete, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
If I smoke, where do I go?
What?
If I smoke,
Outside.
where do I go?
I don't have a designated smoking area.
Outside.
Anywhere outside.
I didn't say anywhere outside.
Outside.
I said outside. The upside is with the new design, we have more outside space, we can,
We have a fair, not a fair number, it's not huge anymore, but we do have enough people who can utilize tobacco in one way, shape, form, or another, that it will need to be some designated area or something.
But this is a non-smoking designated building, right?
all of our.
Yeah,
all over.
all
State of Rhode, you
exactly.
can't
So I'm
go inside.
Yeah.
outside,
But
outside.
If you go to the yacht club right now, Pete, and you go out on the deck outside, you will see people sitting there smoking.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the only reason I asked.
Second, and there's room, the upsides, there's plenty of room in this area, Dan. We have more room to designate that, which would be.
Well, I was going to comment before was that simply you could have a rehearsal dinner over here and a 70th birthday party over
Yes.
there, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, how can you seal off the upstairs from the downstairs?
You wouldn't. There's no seal off. We have, and.
That's what I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, good question, because now we can.
Right.
The way the access is here,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
You're nowhere, this is the only open area down.
I understand.
And then any noise is going to be generated from here. There's doors that close that area off as well. You're not going to have the carryover between the two.
Okay.
If you notice the insulation, no, it's a good question. You know the insulation between the two, they have a higher insulation factor between the two floors. And if you look in the scope, it's by design, so you don't have the bleed over with the noise.
So the entryway, which is kind of the main walkway in the center of both, up where the entrance is, I don't see any doors or sliders there or anything. If you wanted to seal off the upstairs for,
Like you were just talking about.
like you were just talking about, you would just seal that.
Well, we could ask them to put set doors here or here if we felt necessary.
What you just said
What
was
I'm-
if during the winter you wanted to.
What I'm talking
seal
about,
the place
You
up.
just would,
this
you,
area right here, or this area here, if you seal that, you in essence seal off this floor, or you sealed off that floor, right?
That's correct.
So if you want to separate the two, you can. I just didn't see the doors.
So when you were just talking about ceiling, are you just talking about closing
you're
it
talking, you
down?
didn't mean
like
ceiling per se, like a structure.
question, but I need
No,
That's the interpretation of what you said.
Shut down. More ceiling in the kitchen. You close everything down, you wipe it all down, it's all clean, you put a little oil on everything so it doesn't rust, and it's done. It's
Winterize it.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, but you simply close either upstairs or downstairs,
Correct.
not create a physical structure that seals it off and locks it up.
No.
Yeah, that was the impression that some were getting.
Yeah, no, that's good. I didn't think about using those.
Well, I was asking
Yeah, right, absolutely.
That,
Close it off
that
and
makes,
seal it.
that makes the idea of providing for doors to seal off the upstairs
Right, for energy.
very interesting because heat rises.
Yep.
So, if depending upon what you think the option's going to be, my suggestion is the option would be to keep the downstairs open.
Well, and that's a good point. It's smaller downstairs.
I know that.
And the kitchens are similar in size. So we're able to do either. The challenge is if in the winter, if you have a big function,
Catering, yeah.
you're going to have, now the upside for us, and when you're looking at energy costs, because I've done an energy study on it, we're 23 to 29% more efficient with the new building. And if you look at our energy costs, we're about $85,000 a year in energy costs now. The estimate's going to drop it to the upper 50s, lower 60s with energy costs. So we're having some significant savings there, and I'll have all that for Saturday to talk about. But we have energy savings built in. Mr. Stevens.
Yeah, I just said, actually, I can see this.
Here,
Worse up here.
here. This one's better. This one's
My
easier to look at.
my question is about stairs. I couldn't quite picture
All right.
that. Okay.
We have stairs here. When you come in the front door, you come around and up.
Yeah.
All right, so that takes you to the second floor. You come in here, you can take the elevator from the first floor, brings you here. Outside, poolside, stairwell here, up and in. Okay. This side, you would actually come in from down here, up the stairwell, which brings you here. And you come down here and
And these been looked at, I'm wondering about those.
yes, they're all looked at to meet code. We have enough egress for the structure.
Yeah, it is a little, I guess, maybe not so much, not those doors.
Right. You have three, you can go this way, or this way to get out of the structure.
If the fire people happy, I'm happy.
Okay. Some other things on this floor, again, we did expand restrooms. Okay. What's that?
That was a comment that was made by quite a few people about the bathroom
Yeah.
capacity for the original plan.
So we expanded the bathroom facility. I mean, that's the second floor plan. Is there a coat room anywhere? There is a closet right here. Here's the hostess. Here's the closet.
And the downstairs, same.
Downstairs is here.
What's the capacity of the bar seating?
Bar seating is 40,
40.
and that's
Big bar.
yeah.
I only counted 33
For level.
little seats.
Yeah, no, both 40 each.
40, yeah.
Yeah, that's what each level.
No, it's a
I
lot.
can't remember what the final count.
More than we have.
Oh, it's a lot more. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're longer.
That's a lot more than that.
It is.
What
It
is
is,
it,
but that
24 or so, 25 today?
yeah.
That's great.
Well, and what it allows us to do is, again, when we section off or we tend to use other parts, you could, which is neat. We're talking about this looking at second floor. You could have a cocktail hour just around the bar area. You know, close off, section it off, and use the bar as a. I mean, there's so many different ways. The neat part about the facility, the design, we're able to partition, scale it up or down for whatever use we believe we have.
Totally flexible space.
Flexible, yes, yes, it is.
So instead of fiscal responsibility, it's flexible.
2X.
If this doesn't attract more customers, more business, more, anyway,
The other thing that
What you're gonna eat, Pete.
the other thing on the second floor, I want to point out, we're utilizing this space. There's two offices here. We can make them bigger or smaller. One of the things we do a lot of weddings and catered type of events. We're trying to figure out if we want to put a round conference room table like in there, so when you're meeting with the bride and groom, they're thinking about having it. They brought their parents and they want to sit and talk about it. This would be a great area where you're overlooking the water, where you could actually sit with them and do the planning for the event or activity. Have pictures of past weddings and events, those type of things.
I
Event plan top.
definitely wouldn't make it conference roomy type. I definitely make it like a nice little living room.
That's fine. I'm just saying the space.
Just because this area is casual even. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Do business.
and typically when you need
I'm
that.
good today, Chief. I don't need you.
And typically when you need that meeting, it's not when you have the patrons in there for dinner or some other function. It's typically during the, I mean, I've been there oftentimes when they meet with them, and they meet at a table out there. And
Yeah, and one of the things with the space, this is kind of a more flex space for us. We have the offices on the third floor now. Okay, so we create some office space. We've talked about separating this to be evenly divided. Again, that's something we can do as we a little further down the road. But it does provide us that opportunity because, yes, people, when they're coming in planning for their wedding, they'll sit in the dining area and they're planning it. But if you have a lot of activities going on or they're coming on a weekend when it's real busy, it's hard to find space. Having a dedicated space is probably going to be good for that. Mr. Stevens?
Bride's dressing room, that was it.
Oh, yeah. Here's the dressing room. You notice it's slightly larger for the bride. And I'm told they're both bride's dressing rooms. She just allows the groom to use this one. Remember, I don't know if you remember one of the town hall meetings, there's no such thing as a groom's.
wedding etiquette, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Because Mr. Unger isn't here.
Don't ask. Whatever it is.
Remember the comment was, put the dumbwaiters back in.
There are no dumb waiters. Here's what we have.
We only
Oh,
have smart waiters.
Oh, smart waiters.
Yeah, I got it.
This element right here
Elevator.
I know it's hard to see. It's a service elevator.
Right.
It's right off of both kitchens. One of our initial designs had a dumbwaiter and service elevator in the kitchen.
Right.
It's redundant. You really don't, if you have the service elevator, you're fine. The fact that the kitchen designs are of enough size, we don't have an issue with having to have multiple elevators running to serve the needs of either upstairs or down. It's,
When are you going, I'm sorry, when
Yeah,
are you
go ahead.
going to have,
So you're good.
when are you going to have feedback from the consultant? We really haven't talked about kitchen utilization in this building. The reason I bring the point up is because past experience has shown that when we are catering, or when you're having a major function, there are really two kinds of kitchens out there that you want to think about. One of them is a warming, last-minute prep and service kitchen, and one of them is a full prep, non-warming, out-the-door kind of kitchen. And they are very different.
they are.
And I don't know if that's part of our planning or thinking at this point in time or not.
It is. The design of the kitchens, that was part of meeting with them and talking
Yeah,
through
that-
how we're
that's
going
what
to
I
utilize it. The prep kitchen, as we have it right now, is second floor. The design's a little bit different. However, that's part of what he came out to analyze what our equipment is and what's the best use between the two. So they're going to come back with a recommendation
Yes.
to us.
So we're getting that from the consultant, I mean, based upon some thorough
Yes,
study.
yes.
Thank you.
And keep in mind, the design of the kitchen now, the way it is from the kitchen consultant. It wasn't they didn't come and interview us before they designed it.
And Dan, we met with, looked at a couple of alternatives a couple of years ago, 10 years last year. Savoy Brown was identified, recommended. We had them come in, they spent some time with us, they gave us a proposal, then of course it all shut down. But they have a real extensive clientele, as I recall.
Well,
And that's what they do.
But the thing that we've done in Ocean Pines over the years, Pete, is very simply, the yacht club has been the preparation site, and we've trucked stuff
Oh, I know.
to
I know
the
that.
beach,
Yeah.
to the country club. You know, I mean, that I don't think that's a bad business model. I just think that you have to recognize it in your design.
Right.
That's why I raised the issue.
I think the most important thing is that we're involving people that know what they're doing, professionals in this array, and so.
Part of, if you remember, you all made a rather significant decision to go with Harkins. Part of it was working with AWB engineers. Part of their overall project, again, that's where a lot of the cost comes in, bringing in a professional consultant, which they've done. I mean, that's where the dollars are. We're getting
Quality of the design.
professional engineers, professional consultants as this is being designed.
Good for us.
Yes, sir.
I hate to disagree with, but, I read the Harkins proposal, and AWB was their consultant. But if I read their proposal and there was a kitchen consultant bid into it and identified, I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it.
That's not
Maybe I
what
have
you
to-
said. That's not what you said.
They didn't, Savoy Brown is the kitchen consultant we're using.
That's our kitchen.
Our kitchen consultant.
That's our kitchen consultant.
They're working with AWB.
Okay, so then I apologize if you didn't say Harkins had a kitchen consultant in it, but that's what I would say. We now have a kitchen consultant, but that was not embedded into the original Harkins design. We didn't hire them and say Harkins go use this stuff.
Go ahead.
I think, Dave, what my interpretation of what's happening here is that AWB and the quality of their design staff had nothing to do with the kitchen consultant, but the kitchen consultant that we will retain, Ocean Pines, has an ability to work with a top-notch building consultant design firm. That's all. I think he's talking about the two working together, not that one had it in their proposal and the other didn't. That's my interpretation.
All right, well, here,
A top-notch design firm is going to be responsive to whomever we involve in the process.
Regardless of how we got here, what do we have?
Yeah.
What we have is a professional kitchen
Right.
consultant
Wow.
working on this, correct?
Can we
that
let,
is correct.
Move on, please. I mean, what is,
It's not about the proposal at this point.
I think the question was,
What's about
where
what-
did we get
where did we get 'em?
professional?
AWB pulled
full down the-
Savoy Brown in. They work, they use Boyd
We
Brown to
didn't
do
call
their.
the kitchen
We
consultant.
did not.
I think
AWB,
that's
and
what
that's
Dave
what I
told us.
said,
That's what Dave told us.
working with the architects, the AWB engineers, they pulled Savoy Brown in for the project.
That's what he wanted.
Okay.
We don't have a kitchen consultant, AWB.
Wow. I don't know how to answer sometimes. I'm trying. All right. Anything else on the layout? Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the site plan. We met with the county, a number of different things, but there's been a lot happening in the last few weeks since we said, yes, let's go with Harkins. They've had a team in. I've met with them multiple times at the yacht club. We've walked the site multiple times, met with county officials, went down to the county and met with them. You know, there's a lot of things happening right now to make sure we can fit, make sure everything's going to fit, the design, the whole 9 yards. Let's break it down a little bit. The move of the building appears to be okay. There doesn't seem to be, I mean, we have to go through the technical review committee at the county, and then it goes to the planning commission for the final approval. But the initial, everything was submitted. Everything's actually, all the site plan has been submitted, okay, effective yesterday. All right. The couple of things, we met with Jones and Frank, which are the folks that come out and do the inspections on our marina tanks, the connectors, all those pieces. As you know, we have the fuel tanks, which are located over in this area now. They're going to be relocated to this area. They did we spent a couple hours, did a full inspection on it. The tank, despite the fact our tanks are older tanks, they said they felt that they were in very good condition. We're able to pick those up, move them, and relocate them. The other thing that was a positive is we've used our tank facility now is a concrete slab with the bricks around it, the cinder blocks around it, so it forms a dike or a dam if there were leaks. That's very, very advantageous. A lot of folks don't do it that way. They get the double wall tanks, but they don't have it. This is actually a positive for us. Part of the moving of the tanks is exactly that, is to, and again, this is where Harkins is a concrete company, helps us. They understand the slab and the bricking around it. Part of, remember I said there's a $10,000 swing that changes a little bit with our parking spaces. That also includes, we don't know what the final here, the one element I don't know yet, I'm hoping to have today or tomorrow, certainly by Friday, is the way the piping runs now to this, they're actually going to run here and across. The new regulations, which at some point we're going to have to meet anyway, have additional sump pump requirements in it. In the change, we're going to put the additional pumps in now because it's very cost effective when they move the pipes. So it's something coming down to do anyway. We're going to take care of it now. All right, Dave was first, and back to you, Bill.
Yeah, just backtrack. What do you mean which changes? The 10,000 which changes? Could you just with our parking spaces?
Yeah, remember I said there's a $4,284,820.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said there was a 10,000.
There's a $10,000. I'm giving you all. There's a plus or minus right now because I don't know what the answers are between some additional paving when we have to move some of the parking spaces and when we relocate this, because it disrupts a couple parking spaces right here.
Yeah, okay, so you don't know the expense, and the
Correct.
$10,000 has to do. How many parking spaces are you eliminating with the new building?
I don't have the exact count, but these are new.
Those are new parking spots that are going to replace the ones that have been.
Correct.
And, excuse me if I may add, the undarkened space above it is the existing parking lot,
Here.
all the way across the
Yeah,
way.
of course, that.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, there were originally, I counted them up one time, it was 165 parking
Currently.
spots. Currently,
Yes.
plus another additional round a month for, I think, 50 or something.
That's very close to probably spot on.
So we've got, you're saying it's going to be a wash.
Yeah, that's part of working with the county the last few days. These prints I got about an hour ago we saw these. We had a preliminary when we went down to the county. We're not sure we have to do all of these on this end yet. That's what the county has to decide. This was maximum based on our site.
You have a bigger building and more capacity, if you can put in more parking spots and get away with it, why wouldn't you?
Well, a lot of issues. Okay. What else on the site plan?
Bill.
Yes.
Is there an expected time frame for when the site plan will be approved, or how long it's going to take?
September or October. Again, we're starting that process. The cost to
I mean, I
submit.
know it's a long process.
No, the cost to submit to the county is approximately between $1,200 and $1,300. The three different permits, stormwater, erosion, site plan. There's a number of things. That's all being submitted now, and then it goes through the technical review committee, Q&A, and what happens, it walks around all the departments at the county to make sure there's nothing we've missed with the plan, any of those type of things. Once it's all approved, any Q&A goes back and forth. We've provided additional information. The next step would then go to the Planning Commission when they meet. The goal is it went today for TRC, so it'll go next month, Planning Commission, September would be the approval.
2 to 3.
Yes, sir.
Dotted lines at an angle and across.
This one?
What does that indicate?
That is, I don't know. I had to think for a minute. I can't remember what that was.
I mean, you've got underground gas and underground sewage lines that you have to deal with, and underground power lines, right?
Well, and that's what AWB, that's what it's asked, so it may be the sewer.
Okay.
All right, I can't tell you that for sure, though.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. Steve?
Yeah, Bob, the building location contrasted with the existing building location. I remember I asked the question in an earlier meeting, how far back is it going to move from its current location in terms of opening up that space? And while you didn't have an exact number, I remember something to the effect of it wasn't 100 yards, it might be 30 or 35 yards, 100 feet. What is the distance?
I hate to tell you this, I can't give you the exact answer yet. The plan this just hit my desk an hour ago. Yeah, the scale is,
I mean, the footprint of the new building is clearly larger than the footprint of the old building.
not much, but yes.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it appears to be visually.
Yes.
And the question is the overlap and the construction and I remember it being said once upon a time that we may be able to keep the current building open for a while the construction is being undertaken for the new building.
Uh-huh.
And I guess my impression was that might be hard to do, or I don't know whether it's even a good idea, but
Here to here is 60 feet.
okay.
Just give you a reference.
All right, 60 feet.
Right, not quite the center, but
Yeah.
I just tore a piece of paper from here, which is just off that corner,
Okay.
the center there is about 60 feet, just to give you some scale.
Not very much, yeah. And yet, if you look at the rear of the new building versus the rear of the, it's a substantially further back wall, if you will.
Yeah, I'd roughly estimate footprint-wise, you're talking about 2,000 square foot more in footprint. Because when we get up to the 19,000 square on the existing, we're including the third floor, which is
That's true.
2,700 square
Yeah,
feet.
you're right, Dave.
It goes
Yeah.
out that one.
Don't misunderstand, I'm not objecting to this.
Well,
Yeah.
just find out
I'm
what it
just
is.
trying to visualize, because I know one of the objectives to be achieved here, and it's a really good objective, is to open up that space up front where people can congregate, gather, and so forth, towards the water, right?
One kind of obvious thing on that thing too, which catches your eye, is the amount of space coming from the parking lot, down to where the old building is. There's a huge amount of space there. Looks like a huge amount of space anyway. I mean, and what's the plan for that? You could almost put a soccer field.
And that's the area now, which was in part by the outdoor activities at night and the Friday nights and so forth, right?
It was part of the design, I'm putting all this space up. where there's, if you recall, in the original plan, I'd say original, the last set of plans we saw had a sidewalk in here. I don't, if you all recall the pictures with the Becker Morgan, where they had the different elements, i.e. different sitting areas, patio area.
Right.
That's what this whole area becomes for us.
Okay. So it's utilizable space,
Mhm.
patio
Oh, yeah.
stairs.
We
okay.
talked about it having to put in, there's a requirement for bike parking and some bicycle parking,
Okay.
racks and those type of things. That's what this ends up utilizing. Dan?
Two questions that I'm hearing very regularly, and you're probably going to hear on Saturday. Question one, what is the plan with respect to the old building and the new building when construction starts?
Right.
Okay, what are we going to do?
I can answer that.
And the second question is a little more interesting, may or may not have an answer to that, and that is, can you break out, or have we broken out the demolition cost on the old building at this point in our bid? Do we know what that is?
I thought it was in there, the original.
I think I remember seeing it.
Yeah, I don't-
I'm just putting those out as questions
As
that
que-
I've been getting.
gotcha.
I don't have answers to either
It's in
one.
the original, and I'll make sure I have that
Okay.
off the top of my head. Please understand, I'll have
Yeah.
my entire book with me.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it today.
Obviously, I
But Dan's first question is what I was inquiring about.
All right, let's talk about the first
Yeah,
one,
let's do
okay? What was neat about this particular, when we went with the Harkins design, one of the plan with Harkins is to basically put the construction fence around the facility, and I can't tell you exactly where the fence is going to go, but they will begin this construction, and this will stay in play. The last month, okay, and they have 45 days is what they're telling me, is when this will be the last element, because this particular side with the it's here, it's this one. Okay, they're going to build it last.
Tower.
The tower will be last. That's where the two bars are housed. So this building will stay operational. Now, it's not going to be as pretty, obviously, because you're going to have to walk around the construction. But they'll block it all off with construction fencing, and they're saying there's room to do it. They're used to working in tight spaces, in cities and other things where they're used to working next to other buildings. They felt we could keep this. Now, what we're going to have to do is set up a separate, and they're aware of this. They're the ones that brought it up, because when the construction fencing goes in, it takes out where our trash can, so we're going to have a temporary dumpster and a temporary receiving area, which would mean receiving for goods will have to come through the front doors or around the other side of the building, but it sounds like the front doors.
And people are going to have to walk all the way around the construction site to get
Correct.
to the outlet. I mean, just because you can do it doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Just telling you, that's the plan right now.
Well, that becomes a fiscal 14 budget consideration when you decide, the board decides, what to improve in the budget with respect to the yacht club usage going forward for fiscal 14. How many months? How many months is it close to construction? What's the plan, overlap? All that's going to be, and that budget process begins here in another couple of months for 2014, because October is when you start doing that budget. So, I mean, that's going to have to be answered in terms of a specific plan to build into the budget, in terms of how many months this is open, overlap, what do we do? So, it doesn't have to play out right now in terms of,
We're already timeline.
yeah, okay.
Yes,
It's
sir.
more
Holding it-
operational than anything else, I think.
I mean, saying it's a possibility is fine, but
Yeah.
I mean, it really needs an awful lot more thought and a look at other alternatives.
Well, I've talked to the builder about it. It's their intent to do it that way. If the board redirects me, I'll go tell them, no, we don't want to leave the yacht club open next summer, but that's going to be a board decision.
Right. That's-
Operationally, I'm going to tell you, we want to be open next summer, and even if it's scaled down, because folks are still going to want to use that pool, we still have the outdoor bar, we may have to scale down some of our food operations, or you know what I mean, just, we're going to have to make some changes through that part of it, but
that is, as I said, an operational kind of question and resolution.
and I'll make the recommendation, then
Right.
the board will make that decision,
Okay.
no, we want to close completely or be open, well, that's not my call.
Right.
Okay, your biggest problem that you're going to have to deal with in there is going to be access and egress around the additional parking you're talking about, and the finishing of the existing landscaping that's in that area between the two buildings.
Sure.
Is all going to have to get done pretty early in the program to make it
Well,
possible.
if you think about it, okay, and just, again, all the reason I'm saying is I've walked through this 100 times. It is an operational issue. My recommendation, because I'm already starting to put placeholders for budget for next year with these type of things in mind, my recommendation to the board is going to be we're going to keep that open through the majority of next spring and summer. Board may say, no, we don't want to do it. Second thing is the process, the construction process is 12 months.
Yeah.
So if we're able to get a permit September, October timeframe, 12 months from there to be complete in the building puts us complete in the fall. Just giving you some time frames is right there. As I'm
You
looking
close
at
it up, you're minus a whole summer.
right,
Well, yeah,
and that's going to be a
So
board.
the
That's a
distinct
board.
advantage is to the proposal to do it in the fashion in which you're.
I think so, but again, that'll be a final
Exactly.
decision. It'll be a board decision.
Right. The other thing about the temporary parking, I mean, good Lord, what restaurant just went through that? Sunset Grill went through a rather significant expansion. They had temporary
It happened.
parking, it wasn't paved, you know. Hey, it was fine. I parked there.
And Dave was next.
temporary.
No, but the
okay.
parking, I'm talking about the parking.
Yeah, but so on. That's okay, keep going. The parking up there, the timing of that, you're saying that'll be temporary parking, and you're sort of thinking of it during that. So that's where people go to park, to go to the pool, and if the other yacht club's open.
No, sir, I did not say that.
Okay, it's
I did
not.
not. Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked me. I didn't say that. We have not set a time on when this part gets done. I would think that parking, well, again, I don't want to say what I think. I'll talk to the builder about it.
If I can state possibly the obvious, is if that parking that is the gray area, whether it's all three sections or just two of them, if that were moved up in the plan to build, you actually are going to be parking closer to the current yacht club in the new parking spaces than you would be in the existing parking spaces. And all we have to do is build that parking lot.
Part of the design concept,
Right.
just FYI, does put easier access to the
Right.
facilities here in the
Right.
future.
All I'm saying is if you build the gray parking lots, you're actually closer to our existing building than we are now.
I'm going to let the builder advise.
There are any number of ways to
Any
do
number
it,
of
none of
ways.
which have to be decided today.
Yeah,
No, I want it all
issue,
settled down.
the other issue you have to deal with, folks, is you don't want to build the parking lots twice. And demolition of the old building is going to require some fairly heavy equipment moving in and out of there for a while. So it may be temporary parking.
And that's
all
what I was
that.
thinking, Dan.
I think Bob is right on with builder talking to me about
Yeah.
how we would do this.
I do have this paperwork, it does say demolition and removal of existing structure.
Yeah, I just don't know what's that.
The question was how much, not
It's,
what.
Well, it's in the
but
number.
it's not, well. you can
Yes,
say
sir.
that, but-
Yeah, just to get it clear in my mind, the parking, whatever it is,
Yes, sir.
however you do it, is going to be part of the referendum packet then.
Yes, yes.
Something to,
Yeah, it'll be included
I
in.
think that's part of the 2.5 zone.
More questions? All right, let's talk a little bit about Saturday. Our intent is to have the meeting in the gym. If you recall, last two town hall meetings we had, specifically the Saturday one on the yacht club, when we're talking about we lay the concept out. We had standing room only. A lot of people were not very comfortable. We had people come and they left because they couldn't. There just wasn't room. We had a facility there. We're going to use that area. The only concern that I have there is the sound to carry. We have a speaker system. It'll be the first time we've used it for a town hall meeting, so that could be good, could be bad. Not real sure. It's what we're going to deal with.
You need a platform type thing so that people can.
I will fall off a platform. Do you know how much I move around? You
Well,
cannot
that's,
keep
your
me
wife
on it.
asked me to have that thought. She's got insurance policy.
But we're looking at, and Dave's going to go check some of the things for us from the technical, how we're going to set that up. We have an idea of how we're going to lay it out. We're going to have, at least 200 chairs set up. you know, so we have
I was going to ask that.
yeah, at least two. I mean, unless you all think. I mean, we talked about getting 2.25. What do you all think? I'm guessing we're gonna have a couple hundred feet.
I'd say so. Could be.
Better have too many than not enough.
Well, the room, that's the biggest room we have. We're going to try it. Also, we have Anderson, the Anderson window, or the Anderson company, the ones providing the doors and windows. They're bringing a sample of the door, a sample of the windows, so folks can actually look, see, feel, touch.
Is there anybody in this room Saturday?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, no, I was going to say to leave the doors open. It's going to get a little claustrophobic again with all those people. No windows.
Claustrophobic in there?
Yeah, I mean, there's no windows or anything, and you put 200 people in there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's going to get a little.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you could open, like, leave this door open at least.
Leave those committee rooms doors open too.
Yeah, the
And,
Marlin room's not, no one's
No,
using it, I know that, so.
You might put the Anderson windows in there.
That's a good
and,
idea.
well, use this room for it, and
Yeah,
then
For the props.
if people show up late and there's no place in there, they can at least be out.
Well, here's what I can tell you. That room holds a lot more than this. 200, we fit just about 200 in this room. It's not comfortable, but you can do it. We have double the space there. So
It'll be a lot of
I hope we have plenty of room. And I'd like to have everything there so the whole time we're talking, people can be looking at, there's my only thing. Now, we'll see. I mean, heck, we got to move, we
If you
move.
get 500 people, then you may have to move some stuff.
And that would be great. Let me tell you, if that's the last
That's a
thing we
good
have to do, I'm good with that one. All right, so we're going to have that. We're going to have some samples of some of the brickwork, some of the, just, they're bringing elements and pieces just to show people. We're going to have several of these around the room, so it's not just one set of plans, so people can walk to either side and look at it. There'll be color plans. We're also, the architectural firm's working on a 3D type of drawing that'll be on the computer, so we'll be able to, someone, you can actually look at it. We'll put that up on the screen as well. So we're trying to do everything possible to visually let people get a real good feel where things are going to be. Yes?
You had mentioned earlier this afternoon about the pavers. Could you elaborate just a little bit for me on that?
Okay, and it's not finished yet.
I understand.
Okay, and that's the bad part about having a meeting like this before I have everything
I'm
final.
not going to be here
Especially,
Saturday. I'm away Saturday.
I got it, especially when you have press in the room, and no disregard to you guys whatsoever, okay, please. But, but I don't have 100% locked down yet, but the 4,284,000, where we made some other changes, we believe that will include. If you recall, one of the things we talked about was what are we going to do with the footprint once we remove the facility? And we did when we leveled all the bids, we pulled out. Harkins had provided a paver price to fill that with pavers. Their recommendation is matching all this area with pavers. Well, we had to go back and say, whoa, cut this piece out because the other bidders did not include it. To level the bid, we need to know what that would cost. Well, with some of our changes, i.e. doors was a big example of it, okay, we saved some money. Well, where we're saving that money, we're able to then say, well, let's look at just finishing all the deck or the pavers or what have you. So that's that's what we're looking at, filling that space to match everything else and doing it now.
As I had understood the previous meeting, there was some reasons why holding off on that decision was beneficial to us, right? In terms of what the surface would be.
Well,
Is that still the case?
well, it is, and that's part. As we have time, I'm going to.
No.
So it's a great question. For Saturday, I'm going to try to have everything. I need to have everything.
Right.
Okay, so
That's
we
gonna
share
be
it
a
with
question.
everybody. Okay, but we had a project here to do some work with the pool. If you recall last year, we didn't do the work.
600,000.
Yes. Okay? We did not do that work.
Right.
Well, this is the bigger project. Once this is accomplished, then we have to, this is a much smaller project. It makes sense to do this. And Dan, to your point, when you said, what's the overall plan? That's part of why last year we didn't do this, if you recall. We wanted to wait and see what was going on here. Then we'll come back and do this. So the reason that's important, this area, whether we do pavers, decking, when we started the project, one of the things we're looking at is putting a Trex or AZAC type of material for the decking everywhere. Was that what we want to carry to the pool? Do we want to do the pavers? I mean, there's a number of different options. by getting this done now, it helps us clarify, and that's what we're considering here. So yes, it's all, well, I've got to look at the big picture long term, and not just today, but next year.
That
what-
makes sense to me. Thank you.
Is there still a perceived walkway between Mumford School and Yacht Club? And I mean, is that still a campus approach?
Well, it will be. There's no walkway now.
I understand.
Or in this plan.
Within the campus.
There's no walkway on this side as of yet.
Okay.
Okay? We will potentially want to look at connecting the element, and we may just, with the park, it may work out fine with the shift of the building. We're not making any recommendation for change. We have a wetland area here we need to be cognizant of. So we're not infringing on any of that, and that's part of the site plan. And folks saying you can't do anything wet. No, we actually have the space to do it, and we believe that's, after meeting with county folks, twice now, they've concurred we're okay. We'll have to go to that.
That's for another day down the road.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Will you be able to get, or do you have, these drawings on the website?
We will, yes. They're not yet. I got, like I said, I got about an hour before the
A
meeting.
lot easier for me to look at those things when I can expand them up to it.
Yeah, we can upload. We can upload. Well, we can probably do it this afternoon, I think.
Yeah, well, before Saturday.
Time
Yes.
what, Dave? 12, 10, 8 times?
15.
Would you hold my computer screen?
Other questions?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I got other questions, but not on the building.
Okay. All right, let's go to yours first. I have one last piece, and we're going to go. Your file's on the timeline.
That's right.
Okay?
Yep, today is the 18th. We're having a special board meeting and reviewing what's going to happen on Saturday, the 21st of July, which I'm just reading down your timeline. Public hearing, community center at 9 a.m. 23 July, modify as needed based on community input, board input. So Monday, you are going to sit down with the architect based upon what you get today and Saturday, and do any revisions that need to be done. Okay, 24 July, proceed with complete construction documents to obtain permits. Well, we're having a special board meeting on 25 July at this point in time to approve the final plans and things like that. I don't know whether your 24 July and our 25 July should flip-flop.
Fine. I mean, the 25 was
Okay?
added
And
yesterday,
and-
so.
Well, but that's not going to materially affect your timeline.
No, sir.
It just adds what needed to be in there was both a review of what we were doing as a final building, what we plan to do, and then also a planning session for how we get this referendum package together. I mean, Mr. President, I believe that's what we talked about,
Yep.
is the content of that special meeting.
Is that the 25th?
That's the 25th at 1 o'clock. I mean, at noon.
Dude.
Is that for ballot? Or, I'm sorry, is that to discuss referendum materials?
That's to discuss, what are we going to do with this referendum? How are we going to advise Ocean Pines about what's really going on here? And to what degree, and how do we, I mean, I don't know about, I am assuming, Bob, that you and the staff already have a plan moving forward on this. I know about your site visits and things like that.
Right.
But where I'm bumping into problems again is that as I go around, I talk to people about, hey, have you heard that there are tours available? I did this at the golf course yesterday with people who are usually pretty well plugged into the community.
Right.
Everybody had this blank look on their face. What's going on? In other words, we're being very dependent upon our e-blast and to get information out, and it does a pretty good job of it, but it doesn't do the greatest job of it. We need to be. There's a lot in the parts and pieces of how to get all of this material together and out that I think the board needs to talk to you about, or you need to talk to the board about. I don't care which one.
No, that's fine. We'll do it on the 25th.
Yeah.
Is that the plan? I'm good with that.
Okay. And then the rest of it shouldn't change.
So, okay, so I'm confused. Are we leaving the 24th the
Yep.
way it is,
Yep.
and we're doing our meeting on the 25th,
Right.
like we used, like
Right.
was already
Okay, so the
scheduled.
plan is staying the same.
Our
Right.
meeting doesn't change this
Okay.
timeline.
And if you notice, the
Okay.
24th is actually blue. That, there, as if you all recall, they were just trigger points for me.
Correct.
Yep.
So
So it
you all
might be-
knew about where we were with
Might be the
it.
26th.
It could float one way or the other because you're dealing with multiple construction
But we
pieces.
can leave the 25th the way it is.
Yeah, so, Bob, with regard to the suggestion about the tours, you're going to mention that obviously on Saturday, you're going to,
Yes.
yeah, fine. It's in the newsletter, the OP report that just came out, it probably hasn't even arrived yet, right?
Well,
I know the e-version went out a couple days ago.
It went out, and 1,900 people opened
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
newsletter on the e-version of it, and then the
Dan, what do
hard
you
copy.
think we could do in addition to help people understand that there are tours available?
Well, we just did it. There are a bunch of people sitting behind me who are going to have this in their
That's
publications.
the line press.
And
advertise it, or are you going to pay for it, or are you going to expect?
Oh, now he wants to get paid.
Now he wants to talk.
Tom, you don't get paid, do you? Absolutely.
That sounded like a sales pitch. I'll turn that over to our director of marketing.
Well, Chip was already nice enough to put it up in the corner of his paper.
I know.
Yes, sir.
Wentworth paid.
He did. Big bucks.
I would suggest that you talk to the contractor. You mentioned about text decking possibly between the construction and the pool. Did you not mention text decking there somewhere?
No, not
Oh,
No.
yes, you did.
Here?
Yeah, or no, a walkway. Didn't you say some kind of decking there?
No, sir.
Okay. Then I misheard.
No, let me make sure I back up. So we have this area that we need to do something
Right,
with.
correct.
We talked about with matching the paver system that's going to go in here. That's what we're looking at doing. Moving forward, we need to think about, because we had a project to redo the pool, which would include this area raising the level of the pump area. So that's when we need to decide how this all plays together, and that's where I was talking about different types of materials. We may at that point say, okay, because we're going to do the pavers here, we want to continue that. The concrete around there, if you recall, swim and racket, we did the concrete. And that's where I said other things that we're looking at when we're doing the project were AZAC or Trex or
That's what I heard.
that type of material to go here and there. All those were
That's what I
considerations.
was talking about. My experience, especially if you have people leaving the pool area barefoot, Trex decking in the summertime, you cannot walk on it. Burn your feet.
Well, according to Ms. Moore, you're wearing flip-flops to go in our restrooms anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I didn't say
I'm just-
I
was
said they were
teasing.
wet.
I was teasing.
Well, then I will bow.
I told
Then
you.
I will bow to Mrs. Moore.
Now I'm gonna be
I know
big trouble.
HR.
Moving right along.
All right. Dan, was there other?
No, sir. That's got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, now it's my turn to ask for some help of the board. The board asks me all the time for information. I'm asking you all for help.
Still kids in school and we're fine.
Hey, look, you're not going to say I haven't given you enough information on the project. Might not like it all, but,
I got enough fun with that.
okay. This is the start
I'm
of,
going to give you a new name.
hey,
You're
look,
going to be tree killer from now on.
well, here's the option. You can just accept everything I tell you and I don't give you anything in paper. I'm good with that, but I don't think that's going to work with everybody.
No.
All right,
It's confidential.
I've given you a copy of our draft, our working document of the business plan. Okay, you'll notice on table of contents, there's more on the table of contents than what's actually in your book, because we have the majority of what's on the table of contents well underway, if not almost complete. It just isn't ready for publication. But I know there are several of you here that have had a lot of experience with business plans. There's been a lot of questions about the business plan. I'm asking you all for some help on this one because we're working in many directions. Take a look at this. It's confidential. You'll notice there's some things in here that really need to stay confidential. It's a working document, so we're not required. If it's a working document in association, it's not something that has to be publicized. A final document would. It's working, and you can see it's not finished. When you go through, you'll see the gaps. I am looking for some help. I'd like to get this finished in the next week or two for final publication. Okay?
So give us a date. When do you need this,
Yeah,
your
when do you want
last
to-
state of input?
Well, I mean, I'm actually asking you guys to give me some, I mean, here's part of the
How
deal.
about Monday,
Monday's great.
next Monday?
Monday it is.
Give us a
Can I have help for it by Monday?
Sure.
Input on, mark it, this is your copy, mark it up. What do we need to elaborate on more? What should you, look at it. Each of you have talked to me about business plans, and what's most interesting is you each have a very different perspective on it. I'd like you to share with me, and you, again, it's your copy, write on it, put pages in it, whatever you think we need to, so we can finish this out, because this is going to be something important moving forward. One of the things that quite frankly, kind of slowed it a little bit, not an excuse, but a fact, we're trying to build a business plan for both facilities. After the vote that we're going to rebuild the facility, and again, it's all referendum dependent, but we went and changed a lot of the plan for the new facility specific. Because if you're trying to design, you're trying to figure out how you're going to serve it, those types of things, having the type of facility that you're servicing makes a lot more sense. So that's why we're able to go ahead and push forward. Pete?
I have an observation. At an earlier meeting, someone asked a question about the business plan in relation to the construction activity. The implication to me was, how can you be building this building without knowing what the business plan is? What I think was missing, and I didn't comment on it at that time, and I probably should have, was that the building was built not for this, but that was really reflecting an earlier business model, if you will, the Stevens Duke report and other things that we had done to establish the foundation for the future utilization of the yacht club specifically. And that was the basis for doing the building construction. Now, this is to support, as you just said a moment ago, the activities and the operations of the business for this building.
Yes.
But some have it in their mind that you needed this before you could even design the building. But we already did that some time ago.
Yeah, we used all the homework there.
And the board actually approved that on August the 4th, 2011, if I'm not mistaken. The Stevens Duke report. So that's all. I just want to clarify that.
How do you want this feedback? You want us to sit down with you individually with our marked up books?
I would welcome whatever's easier and more appropriate. You all have different schedules.
Monday?
Oh, my God.
I'm like in Chicago.
It is only Wednesday.
All right, well, here's what I can tell you. It won't be finished Monday, no matter how much you give me Monday, okay?
Well-
If you can try to provide me the feedback by Monday, I will. You'll have the first draft. You'll have the next draft with input from all of you on it.
Fair enough.
But what I'm asking for is some help with it,
Yeah. You got it.
You got it.
You got it.
okay?
Anything else?
Anything else for me? I mean, it's really, Saturday's your day, but I mean, I'm assuming you're going to have me present.
Let's hear the public.
Let's do it.
Hear the public.
No, this is, did you say it again?
I said Saturdays, actually, I'm presenting the board's referendum. Look, I got it. Look, it's mine if you want. I don't care. Trust me on this one. I'm good with it.
No, you're talking about Saturday?
Right. See?
I would suggest that they might think about, because of the difference, 50,000 square foot difference in building, someone may ask, well, why is it bigger, what makes it bigger? And, you know, I see some things with storage.
Storage.
That maybe you'd be prepared to address where the other 2,000 or 2,000 feet, maybe that might be a good idea.
Okay.
All right.
That it for me?
That's it for you at this point? Public comment?
Now we can say
Name and address, sir.
Joe Reynolds, 84 Water. Could you put that slide back up of the,
Which one?
No, the layout.
floor plan?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Layout.
Okay, that one.
Yeah, one issue that came to my mind was this business about leaving this building in place while we're building this. The builder says he can leave this whole corner of the building off without a problem. Well, that may be true. It's going to be a slab on grade. If you notice, this building is essentially trying to leave off the corner of that bit. It'd be like building your house and leaving off, say, the whole corner of the 10-foot side of the living room off the corner of the house, and then after all this is done, you got this corner there hanging out with nothing there, and you tear this building down, and then you add this on. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. If we were making a lot of money here, we didn't want to lose $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year in profit. Hey, then we can even think about it. When we shut this place down and tear it down, we're going to save money. We're not going to be losing money during that year. Now, some people may debate that, but history doesn't show it to be the case. All right, I think that's a big mistake. Big mistake.
Is there anything you like about it?
Yes.
Excellent.
Who said that, Pete?
Me.
Damn it, Joe! Put your glasses back. You're an idiot.
I'm just,
Not only have bad eyes, but I have
I threw it his way.
there's a lot of that. These sliding doors that are going to be here in the front. One thing you have to realize is that while they can be open to make the downstairs open, I think it's imperative, this is a relatively minor item, it's imperative to have swing out doors as the primary entrances and exits on that first floor when you have those sliding doors closed. In other words, you should not have the doors closed and allow patrons to just anywhere open sliding doors to go in and out. That's a bad mistake. Big mistake. Big mistake. Think about it. Loss of air, all kinds of stuff. That's an operational thing, I agree with you. But they should not be your primary exits or allow people to open. This business here, I think this is going to come as a shock to a lot of people. I've been saying for months that moving this building, especially, and changing the size, essentially starts from ground zero with what's required for the county in terms of modern parking requirements, so many cars per seating or whatever, how they calculate it. This is the bocce ball court next to this area here where the pool is. So now, people come around here and they pull in front of this existing yacht club and they come around and come out this way. There are a lot of trees in this area. There's some trees in this area. Some nice trees, really nice trees. You tell people you're going to tear all that down and run parking through that whole area. Not only that, those people over there, whether they have a legal right to or not, they're probably going to be screaming down at the county. Because now they not only have to put them up with the noise back here, they're going to have all these people coming here and additional noise of parking, lights, whatever, shining into their apartments, directly across. This is their property line right here and right here. Those units sit right here. So that's a potential problem. But we're reworking the whole thing. This deck area, one of the things that bothers me about the overall picture here is that the flow of traffic and the use of this area as a business, while you can talk about inside this building, that's one thing. But our business, our primary business, where we're selling stuff in the season, is right here. And we're not even addressing how we're going to handle what is, in essence, the most important part of our business in the summer. And how this deck area here, which is a lower level than a deck here, and how we're going to tie that together. If it were my business, and I had an architect design this for me, first question I'd say is, how do we tie it? How's this all going to work? This is where my money is right now, here. I want to know how that works. Now, finally, I know this train has already left the station. The only question is it going to reach its destination? And I'm not opposed to a new building, but I do hear from a lot of people, and I have my own views. I have heard little to no demand for this. I've heard a lot of people say we need a new yacht club. I've heard some people say we ought to rehab the existing building. Personally, I'm opposed to rehabbing the building. What I have heard a ton of support for, is a one-story building where this old was sitting. High quality, open 4 or 5 months out of the year, walk away with a couple $100,000 profit every year. I don't hear a lot of support for all this banquets, weddings. I don't hear it. Maybe it's out there, but I don't hear it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. Anybody else?
It's Mark Stiegelberg, 5 Warport. Contrary to this gentleman just said, I think there's a lot of opposition. First ideas came up as a single-floor building. A big sales point of the yacht club is the view. I don't care what you do. And to get the view, you have to be up above the ground floor level. So I would be in favor of a 2-story building. And I think we need the size. I go back to what I think was a mistake not getting a larger community center. And I know that there was a lot of opposition, but when I have the meetings I go to, we just about fill this room, and it's the biggest space because all of the athletic things are going on. But so I think the size is probably a good thing. I go back to Terry's comment. Being a woman, when you go to the bathroom, it's a ritual. It's not like you guys. You know, you're in and out. You sometimes come in with 2 children, so the stalls have got to be big enough. I mean, we all chuckle at it. My husband gives me a hard time because I'll come out and say, that bathroom was designed by some guys. They have no idea what the needs are for women. So I go along with Terry. I think she's probably, women will travel farther to have a little bit more space. But besides that, I'm concerned about the size of the stalls. You have 7 there, which is probably good. But take a look at it. We have 2 kids or a kid, and we have a lot of large ladies in the Pines as well. You get them in those small cubicles, and it's a tough fit. So I think we need to consider that. Maybe it's cutting down on 1 stall so that there's enough space. I don't know, because I didn't see what the size was when I took a look at that. And then the other comment I had, I'm a little bit concerned about the multiple textures on this building. You've got the stone, you have the I guess it's aluminum siding, then you have a tin roof, and then you've got the architectural shingles on the roof. And when you take a look at that front elevation, you put some railing there as well, it's pretty jumbled, as opposed to a cleaner look. And maybe is the stone necessary? I don't know. Personally, I would like to see a single type of roof, and I would go for a nice blue.
Get her name and
Get
her
her
roof.
Get it down.
Because the difference is not that expensive between the architectural shingles and the tin roof. It's minimal because we were thinking of doing it in our house. So those are my comments.
We were laughing about the roof because a lot of ladies in the community are upset because it feels a little weaker instead of green one or brown.
They wanted to
We're
create a
never going to
roof
make
color
everybody
committee.
happy, ought to know that. But blue fits in with...
It rains hell.
Yes. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Else? Edie?
Bob, you may have mentioned this in your talk, and I may have missed it, but during the time of the construction, for those of us who have boats that come to the marina for fuel, while the yacht club is closed and you have to move your pumps, is that my understanding? Will the fuel docks be, at this point, do you know if they'll be available next summer?
The intent right now, it's a great question, is if we move, again, first thing is got to get to a referendum. Assuming it gets to a referendum and we move forward, moving the fuel storage area will occur during the winter months, so it's back and up and operational before the spring selling season.
I have a second question, which might not be able to be answered at this point, but I'm just curious. As a board, you guys voted unanimously for this plan. To my knowledge, there were no discussions on any other concepts for the yacht club. Joe had mentioned a 1-story, or maybe even something even grander than what this is, but there was only one concept that wasn't accepted. If this fails referendum, is the down this, they're going to have to do something with the yacht club. I guess my question is, would another concept be considered, recognizing that it would be for the next board to consider, not just the way it's comprised right now. But I've just been hearing some stuff that this is the only concept that's been accepted by the board, and there was really no discussion about other designs or other concepts. So if that were to come to pass, is the board prepared to do something about that? So
This board,
well, the OPA in general, the OPA is going to have to do
this
something.
board is this board, and it goes out of,
I understand that, but that could be a possibility. I'm not saying that I advocate it at all, but I am hearing that only one concept was ever considered. So does
that's not true, that's not true.
Okay, well-
We debated rather extensively over a long period of time, rehab versus rebuild,
Okay.
and then even within those concepts, the one versus two-story. We debated that for a very long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we came down rock solid in unanimity on A, the rebuild, and B, the two-story.
Last year.
Yes.
Okay.
So this has been going on for a long, long
Okay.
time.
Well, I just want to be able to address that.
Yeah. And prior to that time, even the prior board, the 10-year plan task force has addressed that as well. It brought forward to the board at that time, August 4th, a vote actually embracing the Stephen Duke report, which had to do with the utilization and so forth and so on. It never brought back to the board for a specific decision point on what it had unanimously at the 10-year plan task force decided, which was a two-story yacht club, pretty much along these lines. Never brought it back to a board, and and we know why, because a general manager departed. We had, at that time, the task force leader stepped down. A lot of things changed and then were put on hold. But to suggest as you did is we have debated this for a long period of time.
The vote on two-story was not unanimous.
No, but it was,
It was approved.
yes.
Yeah.
It was, and the important thing was debated.
Yeah.
It was considered and debated.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough?
Fair
No, I think
enough.
that's a very fair question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've heard the same thing. You guys are making this decision at the last second, and the reality is, this has been going on for years.
It's an ongoing
It's
process.
time-
Fair enough.
But it has been a very long process. I think that the other half of your question that you haven't, that you voiced, but it's not getting answered right now, is there a contingency plan in place with this board if this particular project doesn't go?
Right.
And the answer to that,
Okay.
No, did you just say no?
I just said no.
Yeah, the answer to that is no. We have not discussed that. There is no plan in place.
So the next board, that's something, if it fails, is going to have to reconsider, or have to
And
consider.
the only person who's surely not going to be at the next board would be me, if I'm not mistaken. And I would.
It could go to you.
No, I say I'm the only person surely not to be here, okay? But I've expressed this view just recently as the club's committee chair, who at the club's committee is engaging the committee in the discussion of, the next steps and so forth. And what I said as recently as 48 hours ago was the next board will clearly have to make a decision. And as I viewed it, the decisions are three basically. Number one, to go back with something that's different than what is proposed now that it's rejected. Number two, to simply wait a year and maybe have improved food and beverage service, more education about this plan. Number three is to do nothing. Number four might be to spend $1 million and do a patch-up job and wait for a better time. I don't know. That board is going to have to
There are
make a
no
decision.
easy answers.
There are no easy answers. But one thing that is unanimous that we have decided, the seven of us sitting here, is that the rehab makes no sense for the long-term of Ocean Pond. That's what we as a group have unanimously decided. So what that next board wants to do with that, unless it changes its mind and says, oh, maybe it's okay now, it seems to me that if you feel strongly about the fact that putting the Band-Aids on it, so to speak, is not in the best interest of the association, then you need to develop some secondary follow-up approach if it's not accepted. So you either give up on that conclusion or you do something else. But the conclusion expressed unanimously here, after 2 years of debate and 1 year for the current board, is that after all the pluses and minuses and all the engineering reports and all the debate, all the rancor, it doesn't make sense for this community to invest a significant amount of money in renovating this facility.
The direct answer to your question, Jim,
is, by the time the referendum, this thing is done, and all the votes are in, a new board will have been seated for the process of the, by the time that time comes.
Well, they'll be seated.
The 11th of August.
The other piece of this, I just want to add one more thing, Chip, to answer your question. When someone raises the one-story and two-story issue. This reference back to the report we just got 2 meetings ago on the use of the existing yacht club for all the bereavement, all of the days that facility is used by us for those kinds of activities on a fairly consistent basis. And if you only have one room that's only open 3 months a year, I don't know about you, but I don't want to go use the existing country club we've got. Okay, so I just wanted to reference that part of that study was to see who is using our existing facility and how are they using it. And there was a very good reason. So in my mind,
Tom, if I may, too, after you're done, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, that's okay. Go ahead.
My hand's at the back of your head.
I can't,
Please finish.
I'm pretty talented, but I can't see out the back of my head. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say that, Pete is correct, and I was part of that 10-year task force, and I was receiving on the Stephen Stevens report, which was accepted by the 10-year task force, and was accepted by the board subsequently, by vote. 10-year task force accepted unanimously, and the board, I think, not, but.
6-1, Dave.
Yeah, but it was pretty much. But having said that, at that point in time, we were looking at a yacht club, which I believe was significantly smaller and perhaps less expensive than what we had here. Surely it was too low. We believed that we could make a more efficient building within the same footprint as we have now. And basically, we have looked at the other options. Now, the thing, Pete did a re-update of what's the importance of backwoods, but we did that same thing and embedded the results in the report. That year we was 2008. I can remember that there were 97 packets held that year. I can remember that there were 9,000 people attending those packets. And we simply asked the question, and we said, we're going to make an assumption that this is an important thing to go and so forth. I do not believe this is far off. I'm not crazy about the process until we get here, but on the other hand, I think it's close to the original intent. Is it a little more expensive and a little more than we need? Yeah, I think so. But so what? It's what we got. Now, next year, if I'm on the board and my recommendation for it, but would probably be, let's revisit it again. Let's revisit the old report. Let's see what we can build that would be rebuilt, new building, what we can build and how we can do it in a way which satisfies a wider range of people. If it fails. If it doesn't fail, then forget about it, because we got it. The other thing we have to do, if we can't come to any kind of consensus on that, or even if we do find a consensus, is we have to allocate money to fix and make that building, the existing building, safe. Because we're not going to shut it down. Well, that's another option. Not my option. But all of those things, where do we go from here? But the immediate step is going to be put out the money that's going to make it safe. And decided it's not going to be ADA compliant, it's not going to be any of those things. I do not agree with Peter and the board that he made a decision that this rehab I do not believe the rehab that has been put forward to the board is anywhere close to the rehab that was proposed about 2 years ago. It certainly is a whole lot more expensive. Anyway, that's just my view of it. Thank you.
Whatever we do, it's going to cost millions of dollars. Whatever.
Exactly. What you're saying is what the community needs to hear. We have a lot of older people, and they don't love me to get the blasts because they don't feel well for computers. They're not. But perhaps what would be informative, because I think for this to sail, we're really going to have to inform all of us about why. And cost is the thing. If people can see that to renovate the building, because I had read figures earlier on, the 627,000 or something like that. But if people can actually see, and maybe a graph form or whatever, that this is what it costs to build this new building with these features, and this is an approximate cost that it would take to redo the current building that we have. People need to see that
How
because
do we get that out? Because we've
I
shared
know.
that, we have shared that information in these public meetings, on video, but a lot of people don't read that. So how do we get to that?
a little extra cost. I think you need to send out no more than 2 pages, some with the design, send through the mail, a nice, if you do it in color, people love color, but with the top of the page, the designs, and then delineating down below, this is what it would cost to do this building, and just maybe another column. If we don't do it, this is the approximate cost that it's going to be. And what's the difference? You do have it. Somebody's got it, because I've read it a couple of places.
Let me ask you another question. As you talk to you say cost is important. Is it cost is building or cost to them?
That's exactly right.
Cost to them.
Exactly.
Do they understand that there's no assessment increase to pay for this?
No.
They
don't.
need to understand that. How do we get that message out?
Yeah.
We've said it 1,000 times.
I think really.
We've said it 1,000. We put into place 4 years ago a plan to pay for all of this, but
I
people are
know.
still afraid of the big increase.
There is a plan in place.
A good
There
thing
is a
to
plan
say
in
is,
place-
look,
in place to take assessment money and pay for this.
How do
Say
we-
otherwise,
how do we get the message out?
yeah. But I think you can say this is going to cost each household $5 a month or whatever. So people can put it in terms they understand. Well, it's only going to cost me $5,
How much?
13 bucks.
$30 a year.
Oh, is that what it is? $30?
13.
13. Oh, I thought
The
30
one
was
thing
a
that
lot.
you know is,
Could see
Hold on
people
here.
hear that.
Appreciation.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Terry, go ahead.
the one thing that you know is people are gonna open up those referendum envelopes. Because the people who want to vote no will open up that referendum envelope. I mean, as opposed to like the election envelope. If they don't care, they don't care. But the people who want to vote no will open up that envelope. The people who want to vote yes will open up that envelope. So that's probably your most captive audience and the chance to really reach the most people. So you just really have to make
So
sure
that makes you
those-
closure, maybe something.
Like you
Yeah.
say.
Well, that's
Yeah,
part
keep it simple.
part of what we're
We're going to
going to
meet and talk about that next week.
Part of what we're going to talk about.
But your input's very helpful.
It's very helpful.
Sit next to me.
Any other meeting questions?
I'm not meeting. Jeff Nepper, Carrollton Lane. There's no free lunch anywhere. And I don't know why a lot of us think that there should be, excluding people here. There's no free lunch. This building is 40 years old. It has served us well. We've not maintained it properly over the years. We are going to spend the money one way or another. Okay, I don't know how you get that message across without sounding threatening or without, Marty going ballistic or whatever. But we're going to spend the money one way or another. A new building will last us 40 years, 50 if we maintain it right. A rehab of that thing is going to last 15 years if you're lucky. If you take the cost of the building divided by 15 or 40 divided by 8,000 lots, you'll find a new building is cheaper. This is almost always true, especially if you're talking about a quality, substantial, structural rehab. So I don't know how, but some of the discussions I've had, that's the point I use. There is no free lunch. We're going to pay for this one way or another. And we can get something that's good and modern, going to last a long time if we take care of it, or not.
How many members of the public are here this afternoon?
I might indicate anything. If if you just sit back and assume that you guys have done the best job in the world possible, Bob has done the best job in the world possible, and you guys all voted on this. To a minor extent, people in the community have been involved, people who may be interested in coming to these meetings and stuff. There are 8,400 associations, 8,440 odd votes. I dare say we've yet to have 150 people in any one of these rooms at these meetings, and 8,000. And of them, a lot of them may be husbands and wives. So we're talking now about votes. You guys may have done the best job in the world coming up with this plan. Let's assume that. It's not going to happen unless you sell it. The people who vote, roughly half the people vote. So you've got 4,500 people, give or take, who are going to vote. Maybe some more in the referendum. If you don't get 2,300 people or whatever say yes, practical matter, this is all for naught. And I haven't heard a lot of discussion yet about how you're going to get those people to say yes. And I'm not sure it's going to happen in this room. When you have this meeting here, just for example, and forgive me for talking on and on, just I realize I'm rambling something, but you're going to have a lot of people come up with a lot of little ideas. I don't like the color of the roof, I don't like this, I don't like that, the bathrooms need to be bigger. That may influence their vote, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not the issue. That's not the issue at all. Somebody who wants to move like Yacht Club is not going to vote against it because the bathroom. You're going to vote for it either way. How do you convince those people to vote yes? Now, on the other hand, if you were, how important is what people say in there? Because that's what you're going to hear. You're going to hear all these little things. Suppose you heard a lot of people say, it ought to be smaller, it ought to be one story. I don't think those kinds of issues are going to be considered unless there's 500 people in there demanding it. As I said, this train has left the track. So what we're going to discuss in there on Saturday are minor issues.
If I can comment on Joe's comment, I went through this building. I'm the only one that has here. I mean, and actually wrote parts of the referendum question that the brochure, which was scrutinized by Marty, and re-scrutinized by everybody on the board. But one thing I remember Marty insisting back then, we wanted to absolutely
right.
And that's what we did. We told out the facts, we told absolutely the truth. We had a cost, of course, we had an advantage, we had a cost that was free from $250,000 less than the cost that was voted on before. And people want, you said this building, you know what, this building is okay. I thought it was okay when we put it out the referendum, and I think it's okay now. Could have we gotten more? The answer is, even in this location, yeah. We were only pure lucky to get the gymnasium in the elevated room. I mean, that wasn't necessarily in the ideas, and luckily, it could have been extended out a little bit further.
Jim was not in the original proposal.
But no, it wasn't. It wasn't. But Lehman put it in as an option. I said, you know what, you can hold this land, you can move it out a little more. I don't know how to put it. Did I want more? Yeah. Did I vote for the original one at $5.4 million? Yeah. I stood up and spoke for it.
What you guys need to realize,
I think this is okay. It is.
I think what you need to realize is that it may not matter what you say in the referendum that you sent down, or what is said in that, or anything that's said so far. Just like national elections, the vast majority of people, they know right this minute how they're going to vote, and the odds of changing their point of view.
You know what? And if you're right, Joe, the best thing is just lay it out and tell the truth. Don't hype it. Don't oversell it. Don't even imagine that you can change the minds of people who are already thinking about that.
You're not going to change Marty's mind.
No, I know you're not gonna change Marty's mind.
And the guy that just walked out that door, I wish he'd stayed a moment, David McLaughlin. In large part, the future may rest in his hands. Because if he can turn around food and beverage operations to make people more satisfied, be talking about how great their experiences are at the yacht club instead of how negative, you know, a world difference could be achieved in the next year under his management if he's successful. He's new. So I'm just hoping, and Bob, you hired him, and so, but if he could improve that and turn that around so that the vibes that you hear in the community are not negative towards the yacht club, but they're positive, a year from now, that could make a huge difference if it fails.
As long as we give him enough time.
Oh, I understand. All I'm suggesting is, if it fails now, and he turns it around, you have a much more accepting, I think, environment. Anyway,
Thanks, Pete.
I'll take a
Thanks,
motion
Pete.
for adjournment. Second, all those in favor, thank you. We're
I
done.
figure we can continue
We
conversation.
can keep talking, but, you know, we
I
need to.
know